The Lakers reach a new low as LeBron and AD continue to struggle. I'll ask Matt and Hayes what the Lakers should do to get this season back on the rails. Are the streaking Atlanta Hawks an Eastern Conference dark horse? And we've got scenarios on shenanigans. It's the final night of NBA Cup group play. That's all ahead today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. With me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network, we've got Matt Moore, and from the Locked On Bulls podcast, it is Hayes. Matt, Hayes, the Los Angeles Lakers only managed 80 points in their fifth loss in 7 games, and a lot of people are asking the same question that we asked a week ago. Is Father Time finally paying a visit to LeBron James? Here's the Kamenetsky brothers of Locked On Lakers on the issues this team face.
LeBron James and Anthony Davis combined for 22 points in Minnesota on Monday night. In related news, the Lakers lost, so they are dependent on Anthony Davis playing at an MVP level and LeBron playing at an all-NBA level because the rest of the infrastructure in this team, they do not have depth, particularly when Vanderbilt's hurt and Wood is hurt. LeBron looks exhausted. Anthony Davis starting to show some cracks in, his play, with off of that, outstanding start to the season. But remember, he is playing with a bad foot and carrying an enormous load, particularly defensively. He's starting to show some signs of wear. We're in game 21.
Okay, now you could look at we're in game 21 in two different ways. It's early in the season, or the wear and tear on their two superstars showing up this early in the season could be a warning sign. Hayes, the Lakers' record is basically the same as it was last season. Where do they go from here? Is it panic move time, or are there reasons to take a breath?
I'm concerned for the reasons that the Kamenetsky brothers laid out. The fact that LeBron is looking older and it is looking like Father Time's catching up with him. Anthony Davis, you're always worried about his durability and if he can stay healthy. And the fact that they're already showing some signs of that. Anthony Davis said early into the season, like he would like the Lakers to go out and find another big. And I think it may be starting to need to be a mandate that they may need to go. Now, they don't make some huge move, but they may need to make a move for some depth, because I tell you what, the depth there that's already questionable, if they're already starting to get banged up, I only seen this getting worse over the course of this season for the Lakers.
Look, if they wanted to be better, they should have changed their roster up. They thought that if they just fired Darvin Ham and brought in JJ Redick, all of a sudden this is a contender? Come on, man. Like, be realistic here. This is I feel like this is year 25 of waiting for Anthony Davis to be the night-to-night guy that will actually carry this team instead of asking LeBron to do it at age 40, but that's not going to happen. If you wanted this team to be a championship contender, you needed to change things, either add a third star or get better role players to build a better foundation around them. They didn't either. So what did they honestly expect here? Now, look, the other thing is I think that they're fine. Like, I have them 7th in the West right now. I think they're going to be a play-in team. They'll have a chance to do what they did 2 seasons ago and make a Western Conference Finals with an improbable run and then probably lose. Like, that is on the table for them. But if it's championship or bust, which it should be, but it's not, right? If it's championship or bust, then yeah, you need to do something. But you've already said it's not. That's why you didn't make anything. And that's why Rob Pelinka is telling other executives he's not going to move both of their first-round draft picks unless it's for an all-star, which who is signing up for, like, oh, man, I get D'Angelo Russell and 2 bad picks? Amazing. It's a hard sell, I think, right now to see how the Lakers are going to get the championship contention.
There was a lot of talk before the season about LeBron James and his desire to play 82 games this season. And you had JJ Redick after this game start to carefully say that maybe that wasn't the best idea in the way that you have to when you're dealing with one of, if not the greatest players in NBA history. Should that be LeBron James' plan moving forward, or should he reconsider, as honorable as it is to play 82 games, should he reconsider, Matt?
I think he was probably optimistic to begin with. Now, we'll say, like, they were checking out his hand last night, and the big thing has just been the 3-point shot that he just can't hit a 3 to save his life right now. And they were checking out his hand, and so maybe that's just all it is. It's just like he's just banged up, and if that's the case, then yeah, probably arrest him. But if it's a hand injury, also, you can usually play through that. Like, it's fine. At this point, look, I trust LeBron. Like, whatever LeBron wants to do. If LeBron's like, no, I'm good, I can play through this, I trust him. LeBron's willing to do the hard work here. Now, the problem is just, yeah, you can play him 82 games, but you are not going to get a great version of LeBron, and that's okay. You should not expect it at age 40, which again means somebody else is going to have to step up and carry them and do it night to night, and not just versus the Jazz. Like, you're going to need that guy to actually step up and carry the weight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of AD. That's the point of transitioning to what they try to make AD more of the focus than LeBron. That was the whole point of that. Like, expecting LeBron James to play all 82 games at 40 years old, you shouldn't want that, because you want the best out of LeBron when you can get it, and somebody else does need to step up. And unfortunately, they're hoping that Anthony Davis, who has had a problem with staying healthy, to be that guy. You need another guy, and that is why you hear things about the Lakers making a trade. And I tell you what, we have a slightly used Zach LaVine for you guys.
Here we go. Well, listen, Hayes, you're not the only one sign spinning right now. You got Locked On Wizards. I don't have the clip, but Locked On Wizards saying Kyle Kuzma and Jonas Valanciunas half off. They're doing the sign spinning thing on the side of the street. Does a Kuzma and Jonas package from Washington fix anything that's going on for the Lakers right now, Matt?
I actually think it does. So, look, Kuzma, I do not care about what the numbers are for the Kuzma on the Wizards, because Kuzma is being very transparent with his effort level. This is like what you saw with PJ Washington in Charlotte and Daniel Gafford in Washington. And all of a sudden, Gafford goes from the Wizards, where they're one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and now he's one of the best rim protectors now that he's on a team that's actually competing. You'll see the same thing with Kuzma. His defense was really good by the time that they let him go and moved on from him. He can return to that pretty easily. Valanciunas gives them a big to play next to Davis, so Davis doesn't have to play full-time 5. That helps. So I actually think that trade works quite a bit for them. It just depends on if the Wizards are willing to go that low in terms of what their return would be from the Lakers in order to move those guys.
Hayes, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Matt there. Matt's cooking today. I think they can help, because the Lakers just need depth. They need those hopes. Those are players that help some of the things that the Lakers need. I don't know about Valanciunas as far as bringing kind of the defensive aspect that they need, but if you're able to play him and AD together, I think that could be fine. That's a big trade for the Lakers, and it is a realistic one that can happen as well. I just don't know what the Wizards will want back in that, because it's going to take more than just salary dumping. And the Wizards are a team that aren't going to be good anytime soon, probably within the next decade. So those 2029 and 31 first-round picks could probably look pretty enticing.
Yeah, according to Locked On Wizards, I mean, his read on it is that Brandon Scott, there, host of Locked On Wizards, is that the price is coming down on Kuzma, that began as sort of 2 first-round picks, and maybe it's not as strong there, and could be included in that Jonas package. And Matt, you mentioned the shooting woes for LeBron James. You are kidding. He's missed 19 consecutive 3-point shots, and I think the record is 25, and that was to begin a career for Grant Williams, who started 0 of 25. I'm not totally certain on that, but I think that is the record. So 6 more away from that. All right, coming up, several Eastern Conference teams are vying for a role as dark horse of a weak conference. Are any of them too good to tank? I'll ask Matt and Hayes. Plus, tonight is the final night of group play. We're going to preview the most interesting scenarios and games that you should be watching here on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions, that's billions with a B, of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Plus, With PrizePicks injury insurance policy, if your player gets hurt in the first half and doesn't return, your lineup stays alive. Now, I don't know what happens if that player misses 19 consecutive threes, but if they're injured, you've got an insurance policy. And thanks to FlexPlay, you can still win even if one pick misses. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my pick hits, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. There's nothing like the rush of watching an NBA game live, the roar of the crowd, the squeak of the sneakers, and the thunder of a game-winning dunk. Whether you're catching your favorite team this season or grabbing tickets for a rival matchup, Game Time makes it easier than ever to get great seats. With Game Time Picks, the app curates the best deals so that you're not stuck scrolling through endless ticket options. I was recently checking out seats for an upcoming game and found their Super Deal feature. This is great. It's incredible how much you can save with the Super Deal feature. Plus, the app lets you preview panoramic seat views before buying, and the all-in pricing feature, if you toggle it on, means no hidden fees at checkout. Game Time has your back with their lowest price guarantee, ensuring you always get the best price, or they'll credit you 110% of the difference if you find a better deal. Plus, their ticket coverage includes job loss assurance and event cancellation protection. You can't go wrong. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It's time for more Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Your favorite NBA team has a free and daily newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, subscribe. Stay up to date with local expert analysis and amazing writing from Katie Heindel, Mike Shear, and Locked On Fantasy Basketball tips from Josh Lloyd. The Atlanta Hawks have won 4 straight, including back-to-back games against the top team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. One might quickly point to Trae Young or even their hot new steel artist Dyson Daniels, but Locked On Hawks host Brad Rowland points us to another X factor.
Hunter, really good. Again, a game, not game best, but a team best, 22 points. He was a +9 in the game. Didn't do much else. No assists, 2 rebounds, had a turnover, 3 fouls, but he was 4 of 7 on 2s, 4 of 7 on 3s, 2 of 2 at the free throw line. Hunter now has 18 points or more in all 4 of the games during the winning streak. He's been a huge factor in that. He also shot 50% or more from the field in all 4 games, and today was his birthday.
All right. Happy birthday, DeAndre Hunter. So, Matt, are you buying the Atlanta Hawks as a dark horse in the Eastern Conference to kind of upset this playoff picture?
No, under no circumstances am I doing so. This team is the most frustrating team in the league. Okay, so the Hawks have wins over the Cavaliers twice and the Boston Celtics. They also have lost to the Washington Wizards twice. How many wins do the Wizards have, Doug?
Not very many.
They have 2.
Okay.
Both wins versus the Hawks. That's their wins on the season. Like, my thing with the Hawks is the Trae Young thing, they just got to give it up. It's not that Trae's bad. It's not that he's not good. He could be very good somewhere else. I think he could be a championship level second star with the right core around him of absolutely elite all-time, greatest of all-time defenders. But, like, look, they can't defend without Dyson Daniels on the court. But they don't score well enough without Trae Young on the court. They don't have enough balance because of the inequity between those two sides. They've got really good young talent, Hayes, but I don't know how they're going to if they can't put it together at this point, it's time to shake things up. I love their young core. I don't know why they won't just commit to that.
Yeah, a threat in the East. No, the Hawks are not doing anything in the Eastern Conference. They're a fun team to watch. Make no mistake about it. Like Matt, I like a lot of this roster. The young core is really good. I am on the bandwagon. I've been saying this since before the season started. I would like to see them look to move trade to go even further into this youth movement and get themselves some more picks there. But listen, could they be something in the East later down the road in a couple of years? Yes, there's a big possibility for that. In this season, no. And I also don't like the conversation that the East is weak. I think like the East, of course, is top heavy. You got 2-3 teams in the East, and every other team between that is all kind of the same. I think they have a lot of parity in the East, but I think the East is going to be a really interesting conference to watch as the season goes on, mainly because you could have, if you go on a 2 or 3 game winning streak, you can go from out of the play-in to the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, and that's what's going to make it fun as the season goes on.
Hayes, I'm really glad you said that because that you're tired of this weak East talk, because you're really going to love the clip that I have coming up for the Toronto Raptors. But I quickly want to make a case for Atlanta doing the dark horse thing. It wasn't that long ago where they made a surprise run through the Eastern Conference. Now, look, it was a different constructed team, but this team, they're sharing the basketball. They look like they have a different kind of chemistry than when it was Murray. I mean, they just got done beating Murray and the Pelicans. It looks like they kind of won that deal pretty handily. And so I just think there's a you never know factor when a team has a star-level offensive player in Trae Young who is sharing the basketball a lot. And, I would just say, be careful betting against the Hawks. They've done this before.
Oh, Doug, betting against them? Yeah, they're the worst ATS team over the past 2 seasons. They're literally the worst. They are the most profitable team to bet against over the last 2 seasons. That's who they are, because they are always like, well, they should be pretty. No, they're not good. No, they're 21st in offense, 21st in defense. The 11-11 record is a lie with this Hawks team.
Okay, you're stuck in the past, and I'm looking at the future. I think that's what we figured out here. Okay, let's move on from the Atlanta Hawks to 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that might be too good to tank. The Atlanta Hawks, by the way, can't really tank. They don't own their first-round pick. That's owed to someone else, so they've got to play better. But the Nets and Raptors, on the other hand, they have incentive to move some players and get worse as the season goes on. But the Locked On Raptors podcast and host Sean Woodley made a case, what I'm calling an Eastern Conference Haters Club case for Toronto to ditch the draft and win, baby, win.
There's a lot of teams starting to slip. All of a sudden, the Raptors, who a couple weeks ago were 30th in the NBA standings overall, they've climbed up to a meager that is 26. Like, that's, not amazing, but they're not bottom of the league bad. They're the 5th worst team in the league. And you look ahead of them, the 7 teams ahead of them in the standings are on some form of losing streak at the moment. Charlotte is plummeting without LaMelo Ball, and I think even with LaMelo Ball, not a particularly serious basketball team that I'm not too scared of kind of holding up their early season friskiness over the course of the long haul. You got the Blazers. Their point differential suggests that they are way worse than the 8-13 record they have right now. The Bulls are flirting with being dead last in the league at defense. If you're flirting with the Washington Wizards defensively, that's not a recipe for winning a lot of games. They're a very middling offense as well. They might trade Zach LaVine at some point. I don't think the Bulls are to be feared. You got the Nets, who are going to hit eject at any moment to trade some of their vets to make sure they don't have a near 500 record as they've had for much of the season. The Pacers are a disaster right now. They are a worse point differential team than the Toronto Raptors. That's not good. You look at the way the Raptors are trending right now, where they're playing good basketball without some pretty essential pieces to their whole puzzle.
Okay, there was to be fair, there was a Western Conference team thrown in there as well. I had to cut that for time. There was other hater stuff in there that I had to cut for time. It took shots at both of our teams, Hayes. The Hornets and the Bulls caught strays in that argument for Toronto. My question is, why did Matt get spared? Oh, that's right. They have Nikola Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets are at least competitive. But between the Nets and the Raptors, who has more incentive right now to tear down and go for the top pick, Matt?
I think it's the Nets, just based off of trading Mikal Bridges and what they've kind of gone through. I've got some reporting on this morning on my Substack about there's actually the Nets are not in a hurry right now. They don't mind winning. They're actually more interested in what they can get out of trade value as they continue to play well for Dennis Schroeder, Cam Johnson, and the like. So from what I ever heard, they're not going anywhere. I just look, Sean does this. I love Sean. He's a really good podcaster. You should listen to Locked On Raptors. He always thinks like, no, they should go for it. He always wants them to go for it. He just wants to see them win, which is, it's adorable, but like this Raptors team is garbage. It's RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and a lot of garbage. Like being like, oh, they're better than this. No, they're not better than the Pistons. They're not better than the Bulls. They're not better than the Pacers. I don't care how the Pacers are playing right now. Schedule adjusted, Pacers are better in net differential. The Raptors are right where they belong, Hayes, at the bottom, chasing capture the flag. That's where they need to be.
Listen, I love Sean. Me and him were on a round table and Locked On with it's the bottom dwellers in the East. I can't remember what it was titled. And he was like, everybody else should be here but my team. The Raptors are going to be good this year. He's always has so much faith in the Raptors. I need you to wake up that the Raptors suck. And it's okay that they suck. At least you won a title in the last decade. I don't have that in my lifetime. So like it is what it is, but like no, the Raptors are not a good team, and I do think that right now the Nets are going to have more incentive to tear it down. I just think that when you look at it, like yeah, they may not be in a rush, but everything that they've been a part of, not just even with trading Mikal Bridges, like this goes back to the Kevin Garnett trade. This franchise has been hurting. They need something like this. They need to capture the flag. And I think that as they do trade off some of their pieces, they do have pieces that are going to be valued around the league. They make a lot of sense for some teams. And I think that the Nets, they're going to tear it down. They're going to be in the sweeps, in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes for sure.
So this is the point where I stepped in and defended the Atlanta Hawks. I will not do the same for the Toronto Raptors because of what I just heard.
Yeah.
But I will say that injuries to some of these players that have surprised for the Brooklyn Nets may do the job for them a little bit as we head into the trade deadline and put them a little closer to going for the top pick than for actually competing in the Eastern Conference. But we shall see. Coming up, it's the final night of NBA Cup group play, and there is a lot left to decide. Matt and Hayes are going to give you the matchups and the tiebreakers they're watching. Stay with us. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by BetterHelp. The holidays are here, and it's my favorite time of year. There's just something about cozying up under a blanket, sipping hot chocolate, and spending quality time making my family watch NBA Cup with me. It makes December feel so magical. And for me, that's the essence of comfort. But comfort doesn't have to end with the holiday season. Therapy is another way to bring lasting comfort into your life, whether it's learning how to set boundaries, building positive coping skills, or simply working toward being the best version of yourself. Therapy is for everyone, not just for those major life challenges. If you're thinking about starting therapy, BetterHelp is a great option. It's entirely online. It's designed to be flexible and convenient to fit your schedule. Getting started is super simple. Just fill out a quick questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And if you want to switch therapists, you can do so at any time with no extra charge. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. More Locked On NBA ahead. Tonight is the final night of NBA group play, which means one thing: complicated tiebreakers. Here's Locked On Grizzlies with a preview of their matchup with the Dallas Mavericks tonight and their tough road to Vegas.
I think Memphis's best three are better than the Mavericks' best three, but I think the Mavericks' best two and best one are better than the Grizzlies' best two and best one. So this is a night for the depth of Memphis to shine. It's a night for some guys to come through and show that you're not just beating up on bad teams. You can produce at a high level against a team that has the exact same goal as you. If the Grizzlies want to get to the Western Conference Finals, there's a high likelihood they're going to have to go through the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, and you know what, Joe? If they want to get to the NBA Cup knockout round, they're going to have to go to the.
No.
Let's talk.
They need like 10 things to happen.
All right. Let's just
it's the most unrealistic parlay in history.
In order for Memphis to have a chance to win the tiebreakers over Dallas and Denver, Memphis must win by at least 24 points. They need Oklahoma City to lose. They need Portland to lose. They need Denver to lose. And they'll be in business.
And that's it. That's all they need. Everyone got that straight? Okay. Matt, what are the scenarios you're watching tonight as NBA Cup group play wraps up?
Yeah, let's be a little bit more serious here and not actually look at this from the perspective of Memphis, because they're not going to make it.
It could happen.
Yes, it could happen, but I'll tell you what I think is actually more likely. I think it's more likely that the that the Spurs upset the Suns tonight, and that would actually get them into group play and get Victor Wembanyama into cup play, which I think would be pretty fascinating. The most interesting one, though, is there, I think, if you look at the Western Conference and you look at Group B. So you've got the Spurs and the Thunder. They're going after it. If the Spurs were to win, they lock the group because they beat the Thunder somehow. OKC's not going to know that going into their game. And so if the Spurs win, the Thunder can still get in if they've got tiebreakers. So they're going to need to run up the score on the Jazz. If the Thunder want to make the cup, if they want that $100,000 or $500,000 per player, they are going to have to absolutely put it to the Jazz, like absolutely annihilate them. And on the other hand, I think Mavericks are going to beat the Grizzlies tonight because Luka Doncic is like 8-2 in his last 10 versus Memphis. And if that happens, okay, if they do win, the Mavs need to win by a ton too, because they're going to see OKC absolutely blistering the Jazz, and they're going to have to keep up to make sure that their lead for point differential. So we could see some absolutely insane blowouts tonight as those two teams compete to try and secure their tiebreaker spots in the cup play, Hayes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially in the Eastern Conference as well. When you look at it, like the Orlando Magic have a plus 60 point differential, so they're pretty much locked in, right? Which is good there. Milwaukee can't lose by more than 5 points, and Detroit needs to lose by less than 6 points to stay ahead of Boston. Boston can get to the wild card if Orlando wins, and the margin of victory in the Detroit Pistons versus Milwaukee is more than 7 points in regulation. There's so many different. I'm going to need a cheat sheet as I'm watching these games to go back and forth to see, like, okay, because it's not just as simple as winning or losing. And that's what the point differential, like that whole aspect adds to the NBA Cup, I guess, is that it's not just about if teams win or lose, it's about how they win or lose, which makes it makes a difference here on the last day. It's really going to be crazy to watch all of this play out is what it's going to be.
Well, that's what's really interesting, right? There are two things. Will the NBA and the broadcast partners do a good enough job of informing us of all of this and keeping track of it and showing us this so that we can actually enjoy some of these shenanigans? And will teams keep track of it enough and players have some understanding of it as we move through these games? No. Okay.
No.
Well,
so
there you go.
I will just tell you that I have talked to 3 different beat writers around the league in the last 2 weeks who have told me that the players were asking them to explain the tiebreakers to them. So like they have not been, and like the teams are not going to do that. They're going to be like, don't worry about it. Like just go out there and play and let's just win the game. Like you don't want to overcomplicate players. But I actually legitimately do not think the teams know either. I'm not sure. The other thing I don't know, here's one. I don't know how these seedings are going to work when they do decide the top 4, because if you're tied in record, does it go to point differential? Because then you could have a situation where the Warriors beat the Mavericks, so the Warriors can't finish behind the Mavericks, but the Mavericks could finish with a better point differential, which means they could finish ahead of the other two. So
and now I need a headache pill.
Yes.
I was told there would be no math.
It's amazing. So
okay.
great.
One more matchup to talk about tonight, the matchup that I find most interesting. But yesterday we talked about 2 games on the same night that featured 1 versus 2 in the East and West. That's a rare occurrence. Well, tonight in the NBA Cup, according to Cleaning the Glass, we're going to have the Magic and Knicks play each other. The number 2 offense facing off against the number 2 defense in the NBA. But not only that, it's going to be the 22nd best defense against the 22nd best offense. So a very interesting matchup. And let's kick it to Locked On Magic and Locked On Knicks, who did a crossover preview of that game.
You're a fan of 90s Knicks style basketball. Like the Magic are probably playing as close to that style of basketball as you can play in the modern NBA without hand. They communicate and fill each other and fill for each other so well. You know, kind of like how the Knicks, you wonder how the offense fares against top defenses. I'm kind of wondering how the defense fares against top offenses, because the only top offense they've really played is, I think, OKC and Dallas. And those are like right after the Paolo injury. They haven't really played a lot of top offenses. The Lakers are one of the few. And the Lakers, you know, they lost. The Magic still won the game. They found a way to win that game. They punished a bad defensive team. They were able to make shots in that game, which is the other wild card in this one. So how physical are the Magic going to be able to be? How much can they rely on rotations against a quality offensive team? That to me is going to be one of the big questions in this game.
Okay, so who do you have more faith in, Hayes? Do you have more faith in the Orlando Magic defense or in the New York Knicks offense?
Orlando Magic's defense, and that's because like the Knicks offense has been good. It's been fun to watch, but like if you can throw Jalen Brunson off his game, it really does throw off a lot of that offense overall. I look at it this way. I trust Orlando's Magic's ability to disrupt what the Knicks want to do defensively more so than I would than the Magic having a down game defensively against the Knicks. So I think that is going to play a part into this. You always trust defense where it's can, and the Magic have been such a good defense for so long that I just trust that a little bit more.
Knicks smash tonight. Absolutely dominate and destroy them. I love this Magic team. They're near and dear to my heart. I love listening to Locked On Magic with Phil. They're absolutely terrific. However, he mentioned, like, I think the only offense that they've played. No, they've actually played 5 games versus top 10 offenses in the league. You know what the Magic are in those games? 1-4 with the 13th best defense in the league. And the energy it takes out of them results in them having the 29th ranked offense in those games as well. Their strength of schedule is making the Magic look a little bit better than they actually are. If you look at the weaknesses for these two teams, the Magic offense is way worse than the Knicks defense. The Knicks defense is not good, right? As Doug kind of mentioned, the overall numbers, but they're 16th schedule adjusted over dunks and threes. So if we actually kind of look at this, you got to remember how bad that opening night game to the Celtics was, where they just got completely obliterated. This Magic team is not that. We know that. So I think the Knicks are going to absolutely take care of business here and advance to the Cup quarterfinals by winning the group.
Okay, if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. Make sure you're checking out Locked On NBA Game Night on this feed. They are going to be recapping right after the games tonight. They're going to be recapping every one of the games that we previewed here on this show, and then we're going to be right back here tomorrow to talk more about the big stories, the biggest stories from yesterday's action. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Enjoy tonight's action. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you right back here on Locked On NBA.